If you don't have a destination, any path will lead you there. You can't have direction till you have a destination.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast.
Minisode.
I've had a wonderful opportunity this year to do a lot of coaching, a lot of one-on-one coaching. Yes, I'm still doing my my mastermind groups, the all-star team, so the group stuff is still happening, but I've really tried to branch out and do more one-on-one coaching. I find I get a lot of satisfaction when I meet with another appraiser one-on-one, across the table, if you will. Normally this, of course, across the computer as we do it to video conference, and just allow them to kind of tell me where they're at, where they want to be, and then kind of hold their hand through the process. It's super satisfying. But there's a lesson that comes out over and over and over again that I want to share with you today as you begin your new year in 2020. I want to pause here and remind you that we're sponsored by ANow Software. ANow, of course, well, it's the software that I use to manage everything in my appraisal office, and I'm telling you, this company is expanding, it's getting big, and it is a power horse for appraisers. Check it out. Go to anow.com/coach. One more time, it's anow.com/coach. So let me just give you a typical example. This happened to me yesterday. I had an opportunity to sit down with a new coaching client. First time I had met this individual. He said he had been following the podcast for a long time, and had finally decided that he was going to move his business and his life forward with some personal coaching, and I think that's so important. By the way, I have a personal coach as well. I think it's so vitally important that we have others that we can reach out to get some assistance to move forward in our lives, and to get some accountability, and to help us to set goals, and to help us where we are, and more importantly, where we need to be. And that's really what I want to talk about today. One of the things that we have offered this last year is a coaching package. It's a package of 6 coaching sessions. So these are 6 45-minute sessions that you can kind of spread out however you want. But typically we will meet, and then we'll meet maybe a couple weeks later, and then maybe 3 weeks after that, and then maybe a month after that. So basically you're talking 6 sessions over maybe a 4-month period. Now, some people spread it out all over the year. Some people spread it out over 6 months. Some people, bam, they just want to get it done as quickly as possible. And that's fine too. It all depends on you. Okay, it all depends on you. I can find time for you, right? But can you find time? Because every single time we meet, I'm going to give you some homework. Right, I'm going to give you 2 or 3 things that you are going to work on before we meet the next time. And that's really the purpose of this coaching. It's not just about talking. It's not about lying down on the couch, if you will, and telling me all your problems. It's about moving you forward. And it's about saying, okay, where do you want to be? Now, with these coaching sessions, I typically start with what I call a vision meeting. Okay, a vision meeting. What is that, Dustin? Well, that's an opportunity for you to come to the table and for us to figure out what it is exactly that you want. Now, here's the interesting thing. Some of you might say, well, Dustin, I already know what I want, right? If I came to the table and I said, hey, here's what I want, let's get started on it. Okay, fine. My guess is, because I've been doing this a long time, you may not even know what you want. And that's really what we're there to figure out. In other words, you think you know what you want, but as we start to talk through the different ramifications of the direction that you're taking your life, your relationships, your health, and of course your business, that vision might change. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, there's everything right with that, because you want to be sure on the destination before you start down that path. And that's really what I'm getting at, because I would say 9 times out of 10, by the way, this is completely normal, right? I'm not going to laugh at you if you come to a coaching session and you say, Dustin, I don't really know what I want, right? That's very, very normal. And we can work with that. But just yesterday, I had an opportunity to sit down with an individual. Again, the first time I'd met this person face to face, and image to image, if you will. And we started talking through, and I said, let's talk about where you want to be in 2 years. Okay, let's just go 2 years. By the way, I love that time period. I love 2 years, right? It's far enough away that you can do something about it, but it's not so far away that you can't really get a handle on it, right? I hate the idea of when a person takes you from here to 10 years down the road, right? So much can change in 10 years. I mean, think back 10 years ago where you were and where you are now. So much of life can change in 10 years. I love the 2-year time period, so that's usually the one that I use as a coach. And I say, okay, let's talk about where you want to be in 2 years. And they will start to talk about, well, I kind of want this. No. I want you to get specific, right? I want you to paint the picture of a Thursday in 2022. Okay? I want you to paint the picture of a typical midday and what that looks like for you. Start with the moment you wake up. And we can go through this process. Now, you can get more detailed than we need to in a coaching session. Obviously, you spend the whole day talking about it. And then I yawned, and then I took a drink of water. No, I'm talking about in general, right? But I want to be specific. I want to be as specific as you can be in the time period allotted so that we really understand what it is that you want. How is your relationship with your significant other? How is your relationship with your children if you have them, grandchildren if you have them, right? How often are you taking vacations? What are you doing? What's your typical routine in the morning? Are you going to the office? Are you doing inspections? Are you living on a beach in Costa Rica? What does your life look like in 2 years? And once we paint that picture, the rest of the 5 sessions are easy, right? Because it's just getting there. Speaking of getting there, folks, I had an opportunity to be on the call yesterday with the group at Now Software. Okay, this was Marty and Keith, and they took about an hour and spent some time showing me through Nexus. Folks, I'm telling you, here's a company that is helping appraisers get there, meaning helping appraisers to be more effective, more efficient, to do more with less. This company gets it. It was created by appraisers for appraisers. They are developing software that will blow your mind. Some of the things that are coming out, it's more than just a management software anymore. Check them out. Go to anow.com/coach. That's ANOW as in appraisersnow.com. Welcome back to the program, folks. I was telling you about a coaching session, a very typical coaching session. I would say this happens 9 times out of 10, that I sit down with an individual and we start what's called the vision meeting. And the vision meeting is basically, let's get straight on where we're going. What comes to mind is when I was a kid, we had I don't know, 4 or 5, maybe 6 VHS tapes with movies on them, right? And they were probably pirated from, Magnavox or HBO or whatever. But these were the go-to VHS tapes that we would go to when we wanted to watch a movie, right? You didn't really have the streaming options that we've got today, right? Didn't even really have the rental companies that we did have, the Blockbusters. And in fact, there was a small VHS rental company just down from my house when I was a kid called Digital Doohickeys. Yeah. And we would go down there and rent movies every once in a while. But these 6 tapes were the ones that we would just kind of go to as kids because they were there, right? They were sitting there on the shelf, and we would throw them in, and we watch them over. I mean, we're talking movies like Goonies, right? Goonies is the quintessential Harris go-to quote, movie quote thing when we get together for Thanksgiving or Christmas or what have you. I guarantee we cannot get together as siblings and not at least throw out one quote from Goonies, right? But one of the other ones that we had was the Disney show Alice in Wonderland. And I remember very clearly, and this comes to mind often when I'm in these vision sessions. By the way, the movie's fine. If you've not read Alice in Wonderland, Lewis Carroll, and Through the Looking Glass, folks, stop what you're doing, right? Pause this right now and download it to Audible, okay? Great classic books, right? That have so much poetry and so much learning and so many principles. And here's a principle that was taught to me as a very young kid, not as a reader, but as a watcher of the cartoon, okay? And it was much later in life that I actually read the books. And the principle is there as well. And it's this scene where Alice comes into kind of this mystical wood, and she meets the Cheshire Cat. And the gist of the conversation is that he asks her, or she asks for direction. How do I get where I need to go? And the question is, well, where are you going? And of course she answers, well, I don't know. And he said, then any of these paths will take you there, right? And this comes to mind quite often when I'm doing this vision session, because I think as human beings, sometimes we just kind of live life day to day. I think that's pretty typical, okay? It's not typical to design your life. Let me repeat that. Most people, I would say 98% of the population, kind of just does what everybody else does. It's the 2% that hire a coach or reach out to themselves and sit down and really design their lives, right? If Alice had come into that wood and said, hey, Cheshire Cat, I'm trying to reach the castle, right? Well, which castle? Well, the Queen's Castle. Oh, well, then you take this path and you turn left at the Red Barn and right at the river and follow that to the castle, right? There would be definite directions on how to get to the destination. The problem with Alice and the problem with most of us is that she had no direction. She had no destination, right? If you don't have a destination, any path will lead you there. You can't have direction till you have a destination. So my question for you as we close out 2020 and as we close out 2019, I'm already jumping ahead a year, and we begin 2020, where are you going? Do you know? What will 2020 look like for you? Well, Dustin, I don't know what the rates are going to do. Litigation is going to come down the pipe. What regulations are going to be thrown at me? I haven't taken USPAP yet. I know there's a lot of changes. No, that's not what I'm asking. I didn't ask where is the world going? Where are appraisals going? Where is the market going? I asked, where are you going? And until you decide that, any path will lead you there. Folks have an opportunity on a regular basis to coach folks just like you. These are listeners to the podcast who have listened to me for maybe years, at least months, and kind of get it and kind of understand the principles that I teach and live in my own life and business. And then they come to me and we have an opportunity to work together to bring them to where they want to be. These are folks that do understand, right? And it's okay if you come to me and don't have a clear vision on where you want to go, but you just know you're not happy now. I can help you to get that vision, and I can help you to achieve that. Go to my website, theappraisercoach.com, and click on the coaching tab. You can do a one-off session, or you can do a package of 6 sessions where we can kind of hold your hand through the process of taking your business from where it's at to your destination, where you need to be. I hope you'll join me.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.